From ancient rock paintings in caves to contemporary pieces, from the sand painters to the impressionists, from Kentridge to Mugaka, South African art tells a unique story that represents the legacy and heritage of our people. Let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingwa, a show that is designed with you at the heart of it. We tell it like it is. It's your South Africa, your lived experience. During apartheid, from paintings to performance theatre, art became a way in which activism highlighted the struggles under an oppressive government, and it gained the attention of the world. Under democracy, that story has continued to be told as South African life has come alive on canvas and on stages. Recognition has come from far and wide. Recently, Nelson Makamo graced the cover of Time magazine as one of the most influential artists on the planet. But do we honor our artists here at home? Well, that brings us then to the poll question of today. Has the fine arts industry been supported these last 25 years? You choose from our standard colors. Here are our paddles here in studio. Green is yes, yellow is maybe, and of course red is no. You can go to our poll, sabcnews.com, and answer our question on Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use the hashtag SABCDG25 and SABC News. Well, we've got choreographer Nhlanhla Zwane from Tribangi Dance Theatre who's prepared a special treat for us to get us into the discussion. Absolutely fantastic. Now, there are all kinds of art, of course. We're joined now by Nandipha Mtambo, who's an artist famous for her sculptures, videos, and photography. Her work addresses ongoing debates around traditional roles, gender roles, body politics, and, of course, identity. Welcome to the show, and thank you very much for joining us here on Democracy Gauge. I suppose what we're asking tonight essentially is, has the last 25 years been good for South African art?
Well, I mean, I think that in general, in terms of how the country's moved forward, the last 25 years have been kind of leaps and bounds in different ways. So in terms of the question around the arts, yes, I think it has been good.
In a way, we're having conversations that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we might not have thought about. In my introduction, talking about your work around gender roles, against body identity, all of these new issues, it would seem, that art is tackling on.
Well, you know, I think during apartheid we had a common cause, and art was used as the vehicle to, I guess, fight against apartheid, and there was a kind of unity around how people were using art. And now that we are in a post-apartheid situation, I think that individual stories and how, I guess, individual artists or individual groups are dealing with their personal stories or community stories has become more interesting.
I think it's a very interesting point that you raise about how under apartheid there was a sense of a common purpose, if you like, a united vision. There has been some pushback, aspects of morality being brought into how art is viewed even from government officials.
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, now that our focus has kind of shifted from this common enemy, I suppose, in a way, to more individualized stories.
Is the money there?
You know, I think that the money is and it isn't there. From what I've sort of understood, the dramatic arts and dance and music have been better funded in many ways than the visual arts over the past few years. So yes, the money is there, but I think our distribution of it, or the understanding of how or who needs it more than the next, I think it still needs to be debated.
Yeah, because is it as easy for a child growing up in a rural area, in a township, to have access to training, to have access to materials, for example, if they're a fine artist? Is the exposure there?
I don't think so, but I think, you know, like I'm saying, our struggles are very different. And so I suppose if you're living in a rural area, perhaps your struggle would be centered more around sustainability or sustenance rather than figuring out whether you want to be an artist or not. So I think we're stuck in a very complicated situation where, because of people's individual spaces and individual struggles and issues, I think, you know, things like art become a secondary or even a third, you know, issue that one would be.
Would you say there's enough recognition of indigenous art forms?
Yes and no. I think that, like I was saying before, the sort of dramatic arts and sort of traditional music, I think, has been given a spotlight in the past few years. Mam Esther Mahlangu, I think, is one of the women in terms of the visual arts who continues to be celebrated, and her work has gotten a lot of international interest, and there's a resurgence around an interest in her work.
But then it also brings in a difficult conversation around the commercialization or even appropriation of our art, where other people revamp it to mean something we don't necessarily want it to mean, and they make money off it.
Well, I think we're living in a very complex situation because the commercialization of even the human body has become quite a big thing. So now that we're in a very globalized space where intellectual property, I think, is a contested situation, it makes it very easy for people who don't have that much protection to be exploited in many ways.
So essentially we've joined the rest of the world in these debates. So right here, choose a color. Green is yes, yellow is maybe, red is no. Have the last 25 years been good for South African art?
I'd have to go with the maybe.
Sitting on the fence. Nandipa, thank you very much for your perspective. Well, that's Nandipa's view. We want to hear from you. Our poll question is, have the arts been supported these last 25 years? You choose from our three colors. Green is yes, yellow maybe, red is no. You can go to our poll topic on sabcnews.com and answer our question on Facebook and Twitter, remembering to use the hashtag SABCDG25 and hashtag SABC News. We'll get to your views after this quick break.
On Trends Travel, we bring you a full guide on all things lifestyle related. With so much to discover, we give you comprehensive reviews of places to visit, music, travel, and food. We also explore the arts, whether on or off stage. All this and more. Be sure to tune into Trends Travel Saturdays at 5:30 p.m.
We've heard it many times from female entrepreneurs that they aren't taken seriously, and Future Females is a worldwide network of women.
So we're creating a platform where these women come and they collaborate and they meet each other.
Have the Civil Aviation Authority announced when they'll be making some announcement with regard to findings?
The Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines, he said they do not even know the magnitude of the situation.
Bring us up to speed with regard to the latest developments.
We now know there was a football official, there was a journalist, there were university professors.
Koko said his hands are clean and his detractors have ulterior motives.
South Africans have been so darling that Machela Koko have conflict of interest.
Our election website here on SABC is now live.
Get the facts first.
In 1994, ek dink ons is almal was ook baie excited geweest.
For South Africa, art was never a good thing.
From a footballing point of view, there was never a separation.
Get to the truth.
There's still some serious issues in South Africa.
Maar ek dink die regering kan regtig probeer om harder te werk om
die apartheid in Sutlile yalekiswa ke batho ba rena ba democracy batho ba batsho eseng makgowa.
See what it all really means.
Ek is geel, want dit is die kleur in die verkeerslig wat vir jou sê wees versigtig.
I still give South Africa a hate.
we are somewhere in between.
We're giving our democracy a green for sure. We're very happy.
Democracy Gauge, weekdays at 5:30 on SABC News, Channel 404.
Welcome back. Well, as you know, Democracy Gauge is all about you. So let's get straight to your views on social media. Here's a WhatsApp video.
The arts in South Africa has always been an incredibly dynamic sector, one that has contributed significantly to the democratization of South Africa over the last 25 years and before, largely through protest theatre. Artists are socially engaged, they remain connected to our societies, they present work that resonates with our societies, and as long as we have an art society, we have a society that constantly evolves, changes, responds to the demands and the challenges of what a young democracy is all about.
Now, if you want to be part of the People's View in our next show, all you have to do is send us an email to dg25@sabc.co.za. At the end of this episode, I'll throw forward to the next topic. And by the way, if your name is Percy Maimela, your story is coming up a little later on. But we'll continue with the show. You saw him at the beginning of the episode. He joins us now to talk to us, and that's, of course, Nhlanhla Zwane from Tribeca Dance. Very good evening and welcome. Fantastic performance a little earlier on.
Thank you so much.
I know you heard my conversation with Nandipa. Your view, the last 25 years, have they been good or bad, particularly for your art form choreography?
Well, there has been ups and downs, but I believe that a lot of progress has been done.
There's so much exposure though as well, right? Particularly for young artists. There was a time when part of what you do used to be really reserved for the privileged few. Is that still the case?
No, things have changed. Actually, there is no longer that racial segregation. Anybody can do whatever art form that you want. So there is really a big and immense progress in the arts industry in this country.
There are also opportunities. I'm thinking now of something even as simple as television shows, talent shows. So You Think You Can Dance. There are all kinds of avenues that have made young people in particular interested in your art form.
True. Because now opportunities are available for anybody, so everybody can come and showcase whatever they have. Because now it is no longer like before where people are afraid to go and test things. So now there's opportunities everywhere. And I believe that our government has really made a progress in terms of doing that. Also taking and reviving township and urban theatre and dance. So there is really a progress, but there's a lot of things that needs to be done.
There's a lot of discipline that goes into your art form to make sure that you choreograph your moves and that you stay in the right frame of mind. What keeps you going?
People inspire me, people around me. Infrastructure is very important because you need to be based at a certain place where you work without being afraid of getting injured. So infrastructure is very important as well. But people inspire us, and our daily lives, our struggles in terms of our daily lives, poverty, everything just come together.
Gender-based violence, all the struggles we face in these 25 years. All right, so take your pick. There are the pedals. Which one are you going for? Has the last 25 years been good for the arts? Green is yes, yellow is maybe, red is no.
I will go with green. Because there's a lot of progress. There's new theatres that I'm seeing around, which they were never there before. So I'm expecting to see more from our government. So that means the government, from national government, provincial and municipalities, they need to keep the art industry alive.
All right, that's a positive note we're ending it on. We've still got another performance from you a little bit later on. All right, we'll be back after this quick break.
Get the facts first.
In 1994, ek dink ons is almal baie excited geweest.
For South Africa, art was never a good thing.
From a footballing point of view, there was never a separation.
Get to the truth.
There's still some serious issues in South Africa.
Maar ek dink die regering kan regtig probeer om harder te werk om
ke apartheid in Sutlile ke re ke swa ke batho ba rena ba democracy batho ba batsho e seng makgowa.
See what it all really means.
Ek is geel, want dit is die kleur in die verkeerslig wat vir jou sê wees versigtig.
I still give South Africa red.
We are somewhere in between. We're giving our democracy a green for sure. We're very happy.
But God,
Democracy Gauge, weekdays at 5:30 on SABC News, Channel 404.
Complicated cases.
Your black friends might be running this country, but I'm still the government of Bataruk.
The poor child.
This kid was electrocuted by your fence.
Sorry, it's his own fault.
I put it to you that you have a personal interest in this case.
Under Section 300 of the Criminal Procedures Act 51 of 1977.
I urge the court to find in favor of the plaintiff.
The court finds the accused guilty.
Dedicated lawyers dig to the bottom and everyone gets peace. It's a pleasing judgment and it's justice for all on SABC Anko, DSTV Channel 156.
A meteorite hit the Earth 2 million years ago, creating an enormous impact of crater, about 10 kilometers in diameter, near Vredefort in the Free State, 100 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg, now known as the Vredefort Dome, a South African World Heritage Site. The meteorite is said to have been larger than Table Mountain and caused a 1,000 megaton blast of energy. The impact would have heated about 70 cubic kilometers of rock and have increased the Earth's oxygen levels to a degree that made the development of multicellular life possible. The world has about 130 crater structures of possible impact origin. The Vredefort Dome is the largest in the world, followed by Sudbury Crater in Canada and the Chicxulub Crater in Mexico.
In a UN report, scientists say climate change is getting worse.
1/3 of our food sources for the population come out of the ocean.
We spoke to people who have been directly affected.
We have lost a lot of cattle. Gensbok Vlakte, Tosca gebied and Jakkalskop, everywhere you will see there's animals dying.
I've lost 2 of my cattle this January.
Africa's demand for clean drinking water is rising.
Drinking water is a top priority.
The next day when the water comes back, it's dirty.
I have implemented a level 5 water restriction, effective immediately.
Environmentalists seek solution to preserve the planet.
This is Cape Kirpa, which is also one of the endemic species that is only found within the Western Cape, so it occurs nowhere else in the world except in our water systems.
Now, through the Democracy Gauge, SABC News has been going around the country to profile South Africans from all walks of life. A little earlier, I promised Percy Maimela from Pretoria that his story would be coming up. So this is, of course, our website. This is where you find all the information, previous episodes of Democracy Gauge. We've got all our profiles loaded onto our website. So all the stories we have been telling you are on the website. So sabcnews.com/elections. That's where you'll find the information. All right, we're going to Pretoria today to get Percy's story. He's really a 32-year-old artist who's reproduced some incredible work, and he tells his story about how he has navigated the era of democracy as it's created opportunities for him.
1994, like for South Africa, art was never a good thing. So as I was like still a kid by then, so it didn't make sense. Like it didn't make sense as a career. So art was more of a hobby. The salt art thing started in 2014 while I was working as a merchandiser at the store. And this other day I was bored, so I had to roam around the store while done working. Before lunchtime I had like an hour to kill. So when I went to the storeroom, there was a bag of salt. It was damaged. I had to dispose of the salt. So I thought, okay, since I'm a creative, why shouldn't I try a new idea before I dispose of the salt? So I was playing with the salt, and then something just happened. Like I decided to do a portrait which was nice, and then that's when it started in 2014. Big break started, like it came after Joe Mafela died. I did a portrait of Joe Mafela, which went viral on internet. Like South Africa as a whole, like we still have a lot to learn. So there's no that big market of arts, but people are learning like every day. So I'd say yeah, we still have like a few years for decades to master this art. If I was an artist in the apartheid era, that wouldn't work well for the government that time. So I think democracy has given me a lot of chance to express myself within South Africa. So now it's a nicer time to be an artist. Make South Africa yellow, the democracy of South Africa, because the art scene is not yet on the spotlight, but we're getting there slowly, one step at a time.
So where were you on this day 25 years ago? Well, today in 1994, we are going to look back at events that were unfolding as we were building up to the 27th of April. We've gone once again deep into our archives here at the SABC, and we found that on this day it was the deadline for political parties to make sure they had funding.
So far, only 9 registered political parties have received payments. The ANC, National Party, Democratic Party, Freedom Front, Minority Front, Dikankwetla, Workers' List Party and the Soccer Party have received somewhere between 48,000 and 1.2 million rands.
Our officials have been without a salary for 9 months.
The Pan-Africanist Congress, which announced its bankruptcy last week, also received a cheque this morning. How much wasn't disclosed. Many of the big parties believe they're entitled to more money than the small parties.
We don't think that there is anything good about them not getting money, but I mean, money doesn't just come down like rain. You actually have to work quite hard to get it.
I do feel sorry for smaller players, but I also feel sorry for the taxpayers of South Africa. Can they really be expected to put their hands in their pockets and fund a whole lot of political parties which are Johnny-come-latelys and which have no proven support base and might in fact be in the position in the old, which one had in the old days, where they would have lost their deposits anyway.
It's amazing how young they all looked, isn't it? All right, let's find out what the results picture looks like for today's poll, and there the numbers are. Those are the options. Yes is 25%, 16% for maybe, and of course, yep, 59% saying no. The last 25 years have not been that good for the arts. Well, we thank you for you taking the time to watch and participate in our show. On Monday, we'll be asking the question, are we a xenophobic nation? That means our poll will open on Sunday night. To choose from our standard 3 colors, and of course you can interact with that poll on sabcnews.com. All right, as we leave the show this evening, we've got a special performance, because maybe let's map a way forward for the arts. You saw Nhlanhla Zwane a little earlier. He's got his entire crew here with him, and over to you, gentlemen and ladies, to close the show.